I grew up as a flute player from 4th grade, and I started playing saxophone when I was 26 years old. And when I decided to play the saxophone because I wanted to play rock and roll, and you couldn't really play flute and rock and roll. And when I started to play the saxophone at age 26, I had never seen another woman play the saxophone. I know this is probably very odd for young women today to hear, but I never saw another one. However, I never gave it a second thought. I just thought, I want to play the saxophone, so I did. So I started out playing in some all-women rock bands, and then I got better and better and took more lessons and studied and went to Indiana University and started playing in New York City, where I'm from, with some big bands. And I was confronted with a very odd situation. I would be asked to sub in a big band, and I'd get there and there'd be a whole room of all the guys and everybody'd be warming up, you know, cacophony, and I'd take my horn out of the case and I'd play a couple of notes and the whole room would go silent, looking at me, the only woman in the room, girl at the time, to see how I played.
Hi, my name is Andrew Schneider. I'm an ethnomusicology graduate student at UC Berkeley, and I'm here because I play a lot around the Bay Area and in various different combos in school, and I organize and I teach in school, teach music in school, and it's just really astonishing the sort of gender disparity, especially in jazz. And big bands have been almost all male. Many of my classes have been all male, and many of the bands I play with are still almost all male, despite strong attempts on our parts to attract female musicians.
We're standing here in front of the SFJAZZ Center before Wynton's Saturday night performance, and the reason we're here is to advocate for blind auditions for new hires at Jazz at Lincoln Center Orchestra, which has not had a woman member in its 26-year history. The reason we believe there have been no women members is that unlike the industry standard, which is blind auditions, Wynton does not announce openings for the orchestra, does not hold auditions, but asks the people in the band, the men in the band, who they feel comfortable with. So for me, this is sort of a passive type of racism. It's like, well, we would have a Jew in the band, but we don't know anybody. Or we would have an African American in the band, but none of them applied. Or, hey Bill, who's the lead trumpet player, who do you feel comfortable with in this section? And Bill feels comfortable with people like Bill. So in the 26-year history of this orchestra, there's never been a woman member. This is a problem for many reasons, largely because this is America's jazz band. This is the most prestigious jazz gig in the country. Wynton and Jazz at Lincoln Center Orchestra represent America around the world. They also do a lot of outreach, educational outreach, but for the girls who come to their sessions, there are no women role models. And for the women who buy tickets and who donate to Lincoln Center, there are no women in the band. And for women pros, we are locked out of these jobs, which are the highest paying jobs in the jazz industry currently. We want to change that through blind auditions, which means that candidates are chosen by application, and after that they perform behind a screen for a committee which does not know their name or their gender and does not speak to them. Currently, Wynton holds autonomous decision-making power. He does not hold auditions. He picks and chooses who he wants. And that's why we have a band of all young men who are friends of Wynton's, and women are locked out from these high-paying, career-making jobs in jazz.
Blind auditions for jazz musicians! 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 Blind auditions for jazz musicians!
I'm here with my friends and my fellow musicians that play instruments in the Montclair Women's Big Band, and I'm here to represent women, equal playing for all women, and really to be here for the next generation of young girls and adults that need support.
This is so incredible to me because it's like history repeating itself. I was the first black law professor at my school, at my institution, and before I was hired it was all the old boys network, and I can't believe that this is still going on in this day and age in a whole other field. So I'm really discouraged by the fact that Marsalis, I'm sure he's not a consciously prejudiced individual, but implicit bias, unconscious bias is in all of us, and we can't escape it, and blind auditions are such a fantastic way to rule that out and to really play fair, and I wish that he would be open to that.
Hi, my name is Deb, and I'm here today because I really believe that women are really shut out from jobs when it comes to jazz. So I'm here to support blind auditions. But I have a couple of other observations about the event tonight with Wynton Marsalis. For any young girl who's in the audience, she will see no role model on stage, and it all starts in childhood when children are given musical instruments and how instruments become gendered. I think when you go to schools, you still notice that girls are given violins and flutes, boys are given loud instruments, and that gendering is really something that needs to be addressed. And another issue is, without women on stage, what do we extrapolate from that? Perhaps when women are included, the music becomes subpar. Women are not up to the task. Of course they are. And so I would really hope that this demonstration calls attention to the fact that women are shut out in jazz.
Hello, my name is Ariel and I play the trumpets. Starting in high school, I had received adversity around being a female trumpet player, specifically participating in an all-state jazz band. I had one of the other guys, I was second chair, and had one of the other guys in third chair say, "I can't believe I got beat by a girl." In addition, in that section there were no other females, so I was maybe like 16, and I had all the guys making sexual jokes constantly, just making me feel uncomfortable in the section. Also in high school, my high school band teacher, he wasn't supportive of me as a musician at all, didn't give me opportunities to lead, even though I had been really active and was like the top trumpet player in the school. And he actually made me feel so unwelcome and was like just sort of haranguing me constantly in band that I ended up quitting jazz band in high school. They basically told me that he was about to retire and that instead of getting rid of him, they were asking me to just quit band. I ended up going on to get a degree in jazz studies, and in my college experiences, there were only 3 women in the program, about 100 kids, 60 to 100 kids, something like that, and no female faculty, no support for the female musicians.
Hi, my name is Elaine Alt, and I'm a musician. I play clarinet, saxophone, trumpet. I've been playing for quite some time. I'm here because I recognize that the jazz scene is very sexist, basically. It's incredibly biased against women. People don't take women musicians seriously. They have to do, that has happened in almost every field. Women have to be that much better than men just to be taken seriously. And it shows. If you go to, it's not just the Lincoln Center Orchestra, if you go to almost any jam session in the country, you'll see, guy after guy get up and play bass and drums and trumpet and saxophone and all that. And then, typically, if you do get any women, they're vocalists. They're not really encouraged to play. In fact, they're actively discouraged. And that's really the point here, is that we need to do something proactive in order to change this dynamic. And I think this, I came here because when I heard about this, I felt like this is a great place to start because it's a premier jazz venue, and you know, it's pretty clear from its history of never having a woman musician in 20-some years that there's a problem right there.
A few weeks ago, my trumpet teacher Ellen told me that Wynton Marsalis, in the 26 years that he's had his band, has never had a woman. And when I found that out, I felt really discouraged because, like, when I get really good, I want to feel like I'll be able to try out and get into, play with my favorite trumpet players and the players who inspired me. And I don't want to feel like I'm held back by my gender.
Hi, my name's Nick. I've come to San Francisco from England for a conference, and I had a look to see what was going on here. This looked like a really nice thing to come to while I was here. But I've come along and I've seen these ladies with their protest out here, and it really does seem like they've got a point. 26 years without a female musician in a big band, and I'm sure there are lots of very talented female musicians who would have fitted right in. So like I say, I think they've got a point, and I decided not to go in myself, and I wish them the best of luck with their campaign.
Hi, my name is Claire Haas, and I was a jazz trombone player. I studied jazz in college, and I faced a lot of discrimination in college, both because there were lots of situations where male musicians had social activities that they did and excluded me from them, and then also more direct things. So I remember one time when I went to a jam session and I played, and I thought that I played really well, and the leader of the band asked me for my number, and I thought, oh, this is great, I'm going to get asked to play a gig, and he called me up to ask me on a date. And that isn't what I wanted, and it isn't what I gave him my number for. And that kind of thing was really typical to my experience in playing jazz. And I actually had professors tell me that if I wanted to make it as a jazz musician, I could probably make it if I made use of my pretty face. And I said, no, that wasn't what I wanted at all. And so I left playing jazz, and I became a community organizer, and moved to California to try and find out how to make things change. So I'm here today because I really want to see a change in what's happening with jazz, and I want to see more women be able to play jazz and have a career playing jazz. I want to see women have equal opportunity and to be able to succeed.
Players, when they call a sub, someone to substitute for them, male saxophone players will very rarely call a woman to sub for them because they feel that it diminishes their image.
Pat, if you could talk to Wynton Marsalis directly.
Yes.
Or, the jazz at Lincoln Center people, what would you like them to know?
Well, I'd rather say it to him to his face how I feel about it. I feel that since he's an educator, he's educating male and female, and I think if you want to be a true educator, then you want to be a true and a democratic employer. That, that if a young girl comes up and says, gee, I saw you 20 years ago teaching, and I'm playing horn, or I'm playing this, and, I've been gigging around a lot. I can read well, I can ad-lib well, I can do all these things well. How about a gig? And he should say, well, let me put you, there's auditions coming up that are blind auditions now. That's what I'd like him to say. They're blind auditions now, and just sign up. It'll be such and such a date, and come on in. Come on in. You're welcome.